This is the Library of Congress homepage, and that's just LOC.GOV. You can see on the Library of Congress homepage that there's a number of different resources here that are available to you. At the top, you have Ask a Librarian, digital collections, and the library catalogs. I think what's going to be of most interest to teachers and librarians are these collection highlights and this little section called Especially for Kids, Families, and Librarians. That also includes publishers, researchers, and teachers. So we're really focusing on this little section here today, and I'll just kind of, it's already boxed off for you, but I'll circle it too. Down here in the right corner. This is actually the middle of the Library of Congress's homepage, but it's kind of hidden in a way. There's so much other text around it. So if we click on the teachers page, this is one of the most helpful websites from the Library of Congress. They used to have the learning page, and they've kind of repurposed everything and redesigned the website a couple of years ago. It's very user-friendly, and this is the first place that I would recommend any librarian or teacher to start with the Library of Congress. From the Library of Congress teachers page, on the left-hand side you have all of your navigation, so you see classroom materials, professional development resources, TPS partners, that includes Waynesburg, information on using primary sources. Today we're just going to focus on the classroom materials section. So when we click on that, on the classroom materials page, you'll see lesson plans, themed resources, primary source sets, collection connections, and presentations and activities. These two at the top are what we're going to focus on, the primary source sets and the lesson plans. When you click on primary source sets, it will take you to a list of primary source collections that the library has curated. They basically created these based on questions that they were asked year after year by teachers, looking for materials. These are very popular topics. You'll notice a lot of connection to your curriculum when you look at this list. It's just arranged alphabetically. There's not really, as you can see here at the top, there's no navigation to, click on the S's and scroll down to the S's. So it's just a long scrolling page. If we click on Abraham Lincoln, Rise to National Prominence, this will take us to the page with primary sources related to Abraham Lincoln. So the idea behind these primary source sets was teachers are already teaching about these topics, and sometimes you just need a primary source to integrate into your curriculum. So the primary source doesn't come with a whole lesson plan designed around it. These resources are just intended for you to be able to use with already existing curriculum. There are about 15 to 20 primary sources that are included in each set. So here at the top you can see an image of Abraham Lincoln's student sumbook, some letters, poetry. As we scroll down the page we see drafts of speeches, maps. So these primary source sets have a large variety of the types of primary sources that you could use with students. They're not all text-based. They're not all just documents. There's a lot of maps. In some primary source sets, you'll find songs, sheet music. If we scroll back up to the top of the page, you'll notice just under the title, there's this section called Teacher's Guide. And for each primary source set, there is a teacher's guide that offers historical background and suggestions for the teacher on how that they could use some of these primary sources in the classroom. There's also a link to the analysis tools and guides, which are very useful from the Library of Congress. We're not going to look at those today, but I would definitely recommend that you go back and check those out. When we click on the teacher's guide, it's just a downloadable PDF. You'll notice there's a little bit of background information, there's historical background, and then there's the suggestions for teachers. They give you a few suggested questions that you might ask or ways that you might incorporate these primary sources into activities. But really, like I said earlier, they're leaving it up to you to really incorporate these into the classroom. So as librarians, I think this is really fantastic when a teacher comes to you saying, I'm starting this lesson on Abraham Lincoln. I've been teaching this for a lot of years. I want to freshen it up. What could I do? Or, there's a lot of emphasis with the Common Core now on using primary sources. So teachers may be coming to you and asking you for more resources on how to find primary sources. And these primary source sets are so perfect for that. You don't have to go and search. You don't have to recreate the wheel. They're already designed for you. If we go back to the classroom materials page, and we're going to click this time on lesson plans. The lesson plans are designed, they're available for K-12 classrooms. They're created by teachers, Library of Congress fellows. They have been classroom tested. So you know that these are lesson plans that are going to work in the classroom. So again, when a teacher's coming to you and asking for resources or materials, in addition to those primary source sets, I think these lesson plans are some of the best resources you can offer to a teacher. Again, you're not having to recreate the wheel. You might modify a lesson plan a little bit, but really it's already there for you. You can see here at the top, you can search by topic, by era, or you can search alphabetically. If we click on sports, recreation, and leisure, you'll notice we have for each category, there's about 4 or 5 lesson plans that are available. In the right-hand column, it'll tell you the grade levels that the lessons are appropriate for. So if we look at the baseball, race relations, and Jackie Robinson lesson, on each lesson plan page, the layout is going to be the same. So you're not going to open one of these lesson plans and every single time it looks different or new. That's a really nice feature I think that they have, that you know what to expect when you open these lesson plans. Here, just under this picture of Jackie Robinson, you can see the different sections of the lesson plan that are available. So there's an overview, a preparation, the procedure, and evaluation. On the overview page, you'll see there's the lesson overview. They also give you information on how long this will take, what grade level it's appropriate for, your different standard connections, whether it's by state or Common Core, or if you're just looking at different eras in history. On the procedure page, you will get step-by-step instructions of how to do this lesson. Any documents, primary sources, any handouts, any websites that you need to complete this lesson plan are also available on the procedure page. So again, for a teacher, this is invaluable. You as a librarian are going to look like a genius when you know about all of these resources, and teachers are going to love you. They're going to keep coming back to you and asking you for more. So I think these are the 2 most important parts of the teacher's page, that as a librarian you can just be, as I said, an invaluable resource to your teachers, because you already are. If we go back to the teacher's page, the last part of the teacher's page that I want to show you is how to search by standard. Here at the top, you will see this little box that says search our classroom materials by standards, and you can search by Common Core standard, you can search by your state standards, or you can search by organizational standards. These are organizations like NCTE, the National Council for Teachers of English, or NCSS, the Council for Social Studies. If we do a search for Common Core standards for grade 5 ELA, you'll see this is just one result that we get. There are a number of results, but it'll link out to all of the lesson plans, the presentations, which we didn't look at, any other resources on this teacher's page that are connected to these Common Core standards. So here on the right-hand side, you could just click on, if you're looking for a lesson plan for grade 5, you could just click that one lesson plan link, and it'll take you right to that lesson plan that correlates to this standard. The Library of Congress teachers page has, for a long time, ever since they redesigned it, had the state standards and organizational standards search, but obviously with the Common Core coming into schools, they've just added this Common Core search, and it's been tweeted about so much. People are rediscovering the teachers page, I think, because of that. And it's just, again, another invaluable resource that they're providing. If we go back to the Library of Congress homepage, again, if we look at the Especially For section and click on the Kids and Families link, this is going to take you to resources that are really great to use with students. So we looked at resources that, as a librarian, you're working with teachers a lot, so resources you can use with the teachers. And now I wanted to show you a couple of resources you could use with students. If we click on this first link, America's Library, this will take you to the website America's Story, which is from America's Library, being the Library of Congress. And there's several different sections here: the Meet Amazing Americans, jump back in time, explore the states. The purpose behind this website is really to make history engaging for students. So, most of our students just have a textbook understanding of history. They usually think it's boring, they think it's dry. So the Library of Congress is trying to use America's Story to engage students in history, make it more interesting for them, more exciting, and kind of start to introduce them to primary sources. If the two resources that I think are most valuable that teachers frequently come back to over and over and say, oh, my students would love this, are the Jump Back in Time section and the Explore the States section. So if we look at Jump Back in Time, this lets you research different areas of American history. So you can see here on the right-hand side, we have the sections like Colonial America, Revolutionary Period. You can also search for your birthday. So if you wanted to see what famous historical event happened on your birthday, you could do that. And I think that's where it really starts to engage students. They like, especially as you're in the elementary and middle school grades, they're thinking very locally. So it's very, what happened with my birthday? What happened around my town? So you could start with search by your birthday. So if our birthday is January 18th, for example, we could search for what happened on our birthday, and we would find out that the Paris Peace Conference happened in 1919. So this is after World War I. It gives us a little primary source here and some background information about that peace conference. If we go back to the America Story page and look at Explore the States, this is a nice resource because, most states you have some sort of, you're teaching Pennsylvania history. I know here in Massachusetts, we have Massachusetts history in the 3rd grade. So, at some point in your career as a student, you're going to encounter your state's history. In addition to, when you're studying the geography of North America, you're studying all of the states in the United States. So this is a nice way to start to introduce the states to students. And these are just nice little stories about, interesting things that have happened in the state. So if we look at Pennsylvania, for example, we learn about, the settlers of Pennsylvania, William Penn. We have little photo galleries. So here on the right, you'll see information about fruit or vegetable. This little piece that I just circled changes every time you come to this page. So it kind of rotates. There's, 3 or 4 different features that will rotate there. If you scroll down this page, after the little introduction to Pennsylvania, you can choose more stories. So you can look at stories about steel, obviously very important to Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, the Civil War in Pennsylvania, looking at, National Freedom Day. So just different, cute little historical vignettes about Pennsylvania. And they do this for each state in the United States. So that was kind of a whirlwind introduction to the teachers page and to the kids and families page. And I wanted to give you a chance to kind of think a little bit about what I showed you in the last 15 minutes. And think about the kinds of resources that you saw, whether it's the primary source sets, the lesson plans, the jump back in time. What kind of resources could you share with your teachers or with your students?